What is up, guys? Welcome back to part 2 of turboing the Miata here. So today we're gonna knock out some big portions of doing the turbo kit, which is, I actually didn't pick up the spark plugs yet, but we're gonna be doing the injectors. Whoop. We're gonna be doing the injectors. We're gonna be basically mounting up the turbo. So like I said before in the last video, we're gonna have to do some cutting for just the flying Miata kit. And I'll show you guys that a little bit more once we get into cutting a little area for the turbo, to fit the turbo in there. Basically, after we mount the turbo, then we're doing the water lines, also the oil lines. Hopefully, possibly, we'll be also tapping the oil pan for the oil drain line today as well. And then once we could do that, we can also go and do the exhaust. So basically, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be running, like I said, the flying Miata downpipe, and then I'm actually going to be mating it up to an ISR exhaust. So it should sound pretty sick. And I'm really happy about that because I actually had my car straight pipe before, and it was like, the exhaust was pretty jank before, so I'm really happy doing a nice quality ISR exhaust, and it should sound pretty mint. All right, guys, well, the camera died, and I kind of was bad about videoing it, but I hammered in and also cut the area out for the turbo inlet. I'm gonna talk about that just right now, of how I cut it, because Flying Miata actually has a full instruction list of actually how to cut this. But I did it a little bit differently because since I have the bigger turbo, you actually have to cut into the frame, and they actually have a welding plate. Flying Miata sells the plate that you can weld back in, because you actually have to cut your frame a little bit from running the 2560R, because it's a little bit smaller. So what I did is I actually just banged in the frame, and so I actually didn't have to cut the frame, and it didn't take away any of like the rigidity of the frame or like the structure of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys this now. And I also did a quick paint refresh in the engine bay. It doesn't look the greatest. That's not where I'm really going for. I just wanted to touch up the engine bay and make it more white and more clean, since like when we open the hood up, like there's gonna be a turbo in there now, and when I don't want to open my hood up and it's just dirty as crap. So as you guys can see, it's definitely better. I don't know if you guys saw the last clips, but I did a quick little paint refresh of white, just the engine bay, to make it look a little bit better when you open the hood, because it was super dirty before. But taking and looking at this cut here, this is your frame right here, and it goes all the way across usually. So I cut out this much and I hammered in, like this is the main area that you're gonna be looking for to hammer in more. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's in more than over here. So basically what Flying Miata does is that little lip right there is what they usually have you cut and then bend down. But with the bigger turbo, you're gonna have to cut a lot more, or in my ends, I just banged in a little bit more of this area, because when I actually put my turbo in here, it's literally probably that close right there to the wall, or to the frame wall right here. So it fits perfectly in there now, and with the paint and everything refresh, it just looks almost like OEM now. It looks pretty mint. So now that we got the paint refresh done, we're gonna let this sit for 24 hours so it completely redries, see if you have to touch up anything else. But we got the cut done, and now what we're gonna knock out is do the injectors and also spark plugs. And then we'll move on to tapping the oil pan and then getting the turbo ready to set in there with all the lines. So the spark plugs that we're going with are the NGK 4644s. And the reason that you have to change the spark plugs is you just want to go to a quarter plug here and all around for when you boost your car. And what you want to actually gap the spark plug to is going to be 0.023. So all we're going to do is going to put these guys in the car, take the old ones out, and then pop the fresh new guys, and then gap them to 0.023. So let's go ahead and do that. so we got the spark plugs in, got gapped correctly, and we got everything, all the coil packs back on, and we're good to go with that. So moving on, we're gonna go ahead and install the D-Torch injectors. These are awesome. I just got them off Flying Miata's website, and I went with the 550cc. This car actually had 440s before, and I think stock is 220 or 230, but this is gonna be 550, so plenty of power and plenty of fuel that these will be able to put out power-wise for this car. For the setup that I'm gonna do, this is probably good for probably 350 wheel, maybe even more. And then also, if I ever wanted to, I might have to upgrade for E85, but 550 will be completely enough fuel for the power that I'm gonna be running. So let's go ahead and install these buttes. So those of you that don't know, my car is a 1992, so it's a 1.6 car, but I do have a 99 motor in it. So with these motors, you actually have to take the top of the intake manifold off just to get to the fuel rail. So it's a little bit harder than if you just have a 1.6. 1.6, you actually can just get to the fuel rail and get to the injectors without doing any of that. So with this car, what we're gonna have to do is also like loop the fuel line here. Don't want any gas anywhere. Take all the lines off, and then we're gonna be taking this portion off. You can see it's 2 pieces right here. I wanna say that there's 6 or 7 bolts here that we're gonna have to take off. They look like they're 12 mils. And we'll be good to go. Lift this off. Make sure you disconnect all the lines here. You don't want to kink anything or, you know, basically like pull anything off, make any tears. But once we do that, we're going to be good to go and pull off the fuel rail, pull off the old injectors, and install the new injectors. All right guys, so we got the new D-Torch injectors in, good to go. Just make sure that everything is good to go here. All the spacers are on, everything's set. You have everything oiled, and we should be good to go here. We're gonna plug out everything back in and just bolt back everything back down. This is the next day actually. We had a pretty late night doing the injector spark plugs and also painting the engine bay. I actually had a crazy experience with the injectors. Don't do this if you're doing a boosted Miata. Don't be me. But there's 3 spacers for the injector rail, and I actually one dropped in the engine bay, and I was like, dude, I don't know where this is. It took me like an hour to even look for it, and then I was like, maybe it fell in the intake manifold because you have to take the top off the intake manifold with the NBs and everything, or the 99 motor. So I took that off, it wasn't in there, and then I had to look again, and it was stuck up under the oil pan. So I'm really happy I found it, but we got everything back up to normal here. Everything's back on, all the fuel lines here. And so we're good to go. The new injectors are in there, 550cc D-torsion injectors. So we're good to go. Got the spark plugs in there, and also the engine bay looks a lot better now with a fresh, quick little clean paint job there. So what we're doing today, we're gonna tap the IAT sensor over here on this side. There's a little pipe down here. We're also gonna drill the oil pan, and then we'll probably go ahead and also, you know, probably set up the turbo here, put all the lines on it, and get all the lines situated for the car. What you want to do is you want to just do like a hole punch on, like, mark it so it's a little bit easier for the drill bit to go in. And typically on Miatas, you just want to tap the oil pan right here towards the front. This is like the best area. So you have like a little like hump right here, and then just right past that towards like the middle of the the front of the oil pan right here is where you want to tap. So we're gonna kind of hole punch that right there, and then we should be good to go to actually drill into the oil pan. Well, there she is. Guys, next thing you want to do is you're going to take your drill bit. You want to have a 37/64 drill bit. And then you want to take some grease and you want to grease the flutes here. And also, so I'll talk about the grease here. The grease is to take all of the metal shavings, so it basically gathers them all on here instead of like the oil pan. Also, you do not want to drain your oil, just so if there's any other shavings in there, you can drain it and it'll take all of it out. And then also another thing is you can either take duct tape or you can just find like a hose and you can put it on here. The reason for that is like you only want to have like a little bit at the end right here of the drill bit, because once you actually are going in with force, it'll actually go through all the way through there, and you can actually hit the oil pickup tube, which that would suck, and you'd actually have to take the oil pan off and pull the motor and everything. So once you got this, you're good to go, and let it rip. I've already done this like 3 times and I'm still nervous to do it. Why am I nervous to do it? This is like the easiest portion to do. All right.
Just do it. You're wearing Nike, aren't you? No, Adidas. Never mind.
Adidas is just, you know, keep doing it.
I just keep doing it.
Okay guys, so here you go, here's the hole, and as you guys maybe possibly saw, is like the drill went in there super fast, and that's what that hose or also duct tape, so you don't go all the way through and hit that tube. But got that hole drilled, and this is like the area that I usually do it. Some people might do it different areas, but you can see also the metal shavings on the ground here too. And also there's a ton on the drill bit. So the grease dish job, and there's also gonna be some in the oil pan, but since you still have your oil in there, it'll just drain all the way out, and also on the plug and stuff too. So we're good to go. That was like the most nervous and like crazy thing for most people, but got that done now. Now it's time to actually, you're gonna thread the oil pan here. So you're gonna do a 3/8 and 18 NPT tap here, and again you're gonna do the same thing as you're gonna oil the flutes here, or sorry, grease the flutes, so if there's any other shavings on it, it'll pick it up even more. So I'm just gonna do it like by hand. Some people use a drill, but I like just doing it by hand just so I can go slow and keep going and see how much I need for the hose barb that we're gonna put in the oil pan. So we got the oil pan tapped, everything's good down there, and now we were just like kind of mocking up the water lines here. You have your return, and then also you have your feed and also return water lines here. We mocked up the turbo manifold, and the best way that we're gonna have to do it, since the turbo is super big compared to like a smaller turbo here, usually you want to put the manifold and the turbo on together, but what we're gonna do is have 3 studs in here. We're gonna thread lock these guys in here. Definitely don't want these backing out here. So we're gonna leave this slightly loose, tighten the bottom bolts here, and then Kevin is over here. We got Kevin and Casey with us. Kevin is basically taking the old gasket off here for the oil drain line, scraping off all that crap, and then we have a new gasket for that. We also, we have the water lines on here. These are really nice banjo fittings and then bolts. So on both sides it's the same thing. We put those on loosely. And then we also have the oil AN fitting feed at the top of the turbo. And then we'll have to put some new studs here at the bottom for the downpipe that we have right here. But definitely getting some good progress here. And then once we get all these lines hooked up, then we'll be able to put the turbo in here and mount everything up. Basically, you actually can see that I have the drain line down in here. It's the one that I'm touching right now. It's actually tapped in here, and I also have the hose barb on it. I don't have it thread locked yet, so that's what we're doing now, is we're gonna thread lock and tighten everything down now, and then should be good to go. This is the intercooler piping for the hot side, or sorry, the cold side. And it's coming along. We're almost there. Also did this off camera too. We Kevin actually did tap for the IAT sensor. So we have on the cold side over here, it's gonna sit within the intercooler piping, and we tapped it for this little metal part. And the IAT sensor is basically just gonna come over. It's like right here. It's gonna come straight across, hook onto the fans right here, and then it'll pop in and clip in right here. So got that tapped now, should be good to go. We have the sensor for the IAT, and that's just gonna go and pop in right here, and then you have the plug for the IAT sensor. Well, we had a little bit issue. It's my fault, but big shout out to Kevin and Casey for coming over to help. We're gonna end the video here, but what happened was I didn't basically think or even look at the video from Flying Miata, but I was wondering why this stainless steel line right here is so long. And I heard that people like either tap into this basically like oil sensor back here, the oil, there's a little oil sensor. I actually have it right here. Basically that goes in the back of the block, this thing at the end right here, that's your oil sensor. And I was like, man, like you can't get a wrench back there. You can hand tighten and everything, but you literally can't tighten this line. And I was like, why is it so long? Like, why did they give me such a long line? Well, I was wrong, and you actually are gonna go ahead and tap, you're actually gonna thread in a T right here next to the oil filter, and it's just, that's why the line's so long, so you can wrap it behind and then go over to your turbo. So that's the point of this whole entire T right here, is it goes in, you have your sensor on the front, this goes into the block, and then this right here is gonna be your feed all the way to the turbo. So I was wrong on that. That's what we were taking so much time on, but we have literally everything else set up here. Intercooling is routed. Intercooler is on, mounted, all the piping, all the lines, everything is threaded down there. It's thread locked. We got basically all of the threads on here. They're also thread locked on the manifold. All of these lines, we got the oil drain line thread locked. All of the water lines are on. And the line down here for the oil drain is on here. So everything is set up. The only thing I have to do next video is we're gonna do the oil feed, put the turbo on, put the radiator back in, button the whole entire car up, put the fluid in, and then we're gonna start it. So we had a lot of content in this video, got a lot done, super pumped, but we're that close. Just a few more things to do, and we're gonna have a boosted car, and I can't like wait to actually just feel just like a quality turbo setup. We're running the Flying Miata, and we're running a bigger turbo. So this, I'm so pumped. I have like no words. I'm so excited, and I can't wait for that first startup and that first drive. But anyways, guys, definitely comment down below if you have any questions. And as always, GPG, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And peace out, guys. We'll see you in the next one.